this little chat is for Elias to share with us not only his journey, but also all the ways that he is building his conscious, mindful business. The cool thing that I think about Elias is that he is really doing it's as spiritual as it can get for business, right? Like, is if you think about non-traditional, Elias is doing the non-traditional in business and is doing really well. And I am very excited for him to share all the ways that he's been promoting himself authentically, all the ways that he's been doing business authentically. So with that, Elias, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for our listeners?
Thank you, Aliana. That's a beautiful introduction and segue. So yeah, my name is Elias, and I always start a conversation by saying I'm made in Germany. Moved to the Netherlands more than 15 years ago in my pursuit to study psychology, because I knew very early on, like, I want to work with people, alongside people. And the beauty of growing up in between different cultures, since my parents were from Afghanistan, was that I was pretty exposed to different environments, because I was always welcomed. And that allowed me also to see that we are not so different from each other. Obviously, there are certain norms and practices, but at the end of the day, we are all looking to be happy. And I really empathized quickly with people from different ethnicities, etc. So I just wanted to understand more why people were doing what they're doing, rather than judging on the surface what we are all doing. Well, fast forward, I graduated in organizational psychology, and ever since, my path was anything but linear. That's what I can tell you. Because that was in 2014, so more than 10 years ago. And I just wanted to work in an environment where I have fun go to. Just wanted to enjoy the process of working, knowing that I will spend the majority of my life at work. And my why was very simple. It's like, if I want to enjoy work, why not helping others to do too? So very quickly, I jumped into the world of human resources. And, for a while, it was everything that I wanted. I worked in prestigious companies, cool environments, great perks. I was very ambitious and always wanted to bring light and lightheartedness and connection into the teams that I'm working at. But it was a few years going into it that I found myself not being happy anymore. It's actually the very thing that I wanted to spread, I didn't find in myself anymore. And that was a weird place to be, because everything that I worked up to this point, I had to put in question now, because I thought this is the way to go. I am climbing up the career ladder. I am creating somewhat of a status for myself, so that also my parents and people who look at me with with pride. Those were the measurement sticks that I looked at myself back then. But I felt also there was more a growing tension inside of me, because I was missing something, and what I was missing was depth. I couldn't find that depth anymore in the environment that I was working, because in parallel, I also went to my personal, let's say, journey. And this depth, and I can imagine many people relate to, I found in different environments. I didn't find them in any boardrooms and personal development books. And believe me, I read a lot of personal development books.
I believe you.
I have to become better at something and fix myself and prove myself. But I felt that depth actually in small circles, in groups and communities where people were holding space for each other to be really vulnerable, to be honest with each other, and to be present. This was the very first time where I felt fully safe to explore parts of myself that I was really good in pushing away from me in my daily life, and distracting myself by performing and going out. And engaging in self-destructive behaviors.
Yeah.
But didn't know it. I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, and it just led to the point that this tension became unignorable. So I felt, okay, I know now what I don't want anymore. And what it is going to be, I just want to be in environments that feel as real as the ceremonies and the communities that I have now seen over and over again, and where I felt fully alive, fully seen, and where I just felt like we are sharing this human experience with each other, regardless where you come from, what background you have. And here we are just all human. And what a great gift this is to, bring this into the world. So that was just the beginning of me thinking about starting Elixir of Life. I didn't have it all figured out, but I knew that I don't want to live from ceremony to ceremony. I want to live like a ceremonial life, so to say.
Yeah.
So what Elixir of Life is about is just, it's an extension of who I am. And what I'm doing is, it doesn't feel like work that much anymore, but I'm very pleased to see that this is very needed in this day and age that we live in. So I am more than happily serving. And what I'm doing is I am organizing events and retreats for people in small groups between 8 and even up to 20 to come together for a couple of days and just leave behind all the mental noise and all the, like the bubbles that they're living in.
Yeah.
And take part in a ceremony. And that really means that we are creating a space for them to just be, to open up to an extent that it's really uncomfortable for them. And that will invite a range of raw, unfiltered emotions. And all what I'm doing is that I am really creating that container for them to feel safe enough to express themselves fully. So that means that I myself have to be comfortable with discomfort.
Yeah.
Because how often are we in our daily lives seeing people who are struggling, and it makes us uncomfortable too. So we don't talk about it. We talk about anything else, but not about how somebody is really doing, because it's just something we are often not used to. So we quickly engage in soothing somebody or providing a tissue, fixing that person, and offering unsolicited advice. And how difficult it is if we just allow anything to just be without having that notion of fixing this person, because that person doesn't need to be fixed. Maybe this is the medicine, allowing this person to just show the emotions.
Yeah, man, I love that. And that's exactly the depth that I think is sincerely missing from the world in general and HR. And the thing that I was thinking about is how many people are terrified that HR is going to find out that they're going to these kinds of ceremonies. And here's a person from HR who is facilitating these kinds of ceremonies. So you're doing really important work, and and that's really an understatement. So when we started working together, and for the listeners, Elias and I worked together for a couple of months. It is actually going to be 2 years and 2 weeks that we had our first session. That's unbelievable. And at the time, yes,
I don't buy it.
And I was looking at the clarity form that I sent you before our first session, and I was blown away by how many of your goals you have hit, how far you have come. So definitely want to talk about those things. But also I want to talk to you about that time, because for the listeners, for context, Elias was starting his business. Like he had not even registered a business yet. He was still figuring out, like, what do I want to sell? Who do I want to sell it to? That's the stage. Like, what kind of logo am I creating? That kind of stage, while also becoming a dad for the first time. Yeah. And the pressures of making the business work. and making it financially viable while having to be a provider, while having to, be a father, while managing your whole life. And it was not easy.
Yeah. I'm just putting myself back into that moment in time just before Sage was born. To be honest with you, I pretty much underestimated that. I imagined this transition from, being fully employed into giving myself some space, becoming a facilitator in mindfulness, emotional intelligence, but also a practiced breathwork coach. I was thinking, okay, well, the next step is going to partner up with a business coach that I trust, and then it's going to be peanuts. And by the time Sage will be born,
everything will be
the dough will be flying.
Okay, let me pause you there for a second, because this is such a common thing that people think. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it works that way. But I will say, even for me, and I've been in marketing and business, not my first business, I constantly underestimate how much time and effort things are going to take. Because especially when you're creating something that is not following a formula, but rather you are in the process of discovering, what do I even want? And trying different things and figuring them out. That's why they say stay foolish. That's what it is. It's necessary, and it's really helpful for us to underestimate what is it going to be like to have, if everybody really estimated having kids the way having kids
That also I really underestimated, to be honest. I thought I have it all figured out. I am an emotional, intelligent being. I am fully in control of my emotions. And in many ways, it was the most challenging times for me, for my partner, for us as a team. And at the same time, starting that entrepreneurial journey for myself. I think you hit the nail on its head when you said we are not following a certain formula. I knew that with Elixir of Life, I want to guide people, or let's say walk with them in a pivotal moment of their own hero's journey. This is what it will be about. How it exactly is going to look like, and not even taking into account all the efforts on marketing and creating, let's say, content. And I just lost myself in overthinking and like over analyzing, while at the same time also being somewhat afraid at the beginning to really showing myself to the world and seeing like whether it will be embraced or not. I had to go through, but in hindsight, I could be very efficient, could make smaller steps, iterations, seeing how it works, receiving feedback and moving forward. But for me, I was, like being paralyzed in analyzing every step, right? So I do remember when you challenged me also out of my comfort zone by going on Instagram Live for 30 days in a row. And I hated you for that. No, I'm really happy to see that this is something that right now on Instagram is also being done by people I know now. They're putting themselves in a 30-day challenge and now reaching out to me and saying, wow, Elias, like I now feel what, like this is such a big threshold. But we have to, I feel like it's the first and biggest enemy that we see as ourselves. This is a great mirror in these practices that you wanted me to go through as a main character. So in hindsight, I want to thank you for that, for this growth. But I feel like I just underestimated also something I wasn't aware of. And that was actually how big that voice, that critical voice in my head still was.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought this up, Elias, because I remember a couple of things. First of all, when I challenged you to start your 30-day live, and for the listeners, it's not about posting every day for 30 days. The idea is that the first monster is the fear of even just turning on a camera and talking. And the only way to face that is to face that and to throw yourself in the deep end of the water, because there is no risk that you will drown. There's nothing fatal that could happen. You're just going to turn on a camera, and every day you're going to do it. And because it's live, you won't be overthinking, paralyzed by, I'm going to do another take and perfect it. It's like, no, you go and you stumble and it's okay. And you see you didn't die. And the next day you do better. And it's like a rapid iteration. And I remember the other thing you said to me before we even started working together is you asked me, how long does it usually take for a person to, like, to your point, we work together and then bam, everything is going to immediately within 2-3 months, things are going to go from here to here. And I remember thinking to myself, should I tell him that you're probably underestimating? And then I thought to myself, no, because if I'm going to say that, I'm going to be projecting, I thought I'm going to be projecting my own limitations, right? Because that's my experience, and that's the experience that I've seen over and over. Yeah. But in hindsight, when I saw and I felt that you completely underestimated it, I started to think, well, maybe I should tell people going forward that when they ask this question of short term, not long term, like when I work with somebody for a year or two, that's different, of course, because you can see momentum. But if you're just doing like an accelerator type of thing where I'm just going to throw you in the deep end of a few things. We're going to figure out how to get over the fear, stop overthinking. You start creating content. You figure out who you sell to, what are you selling, how you're going to price it, you're going to structure it, the basics of the business. And then, but the work really is in everything that you did after.
Yeah.
The business is not built in, we just define the brand and we just define the messaging and we just define, the whatever. The business is built in all the iterations that go after, on and on and on. And this is actually a journey of a lifetime, because there's no end point. There's no point where the business is built and you're done and now you're just gonna sit. No, there's always going to be the next challenge and the next challenge and the next challenge. So I'm really, really glad that you touched on that. If you could go back to that guy, to that version of yourself and speak to him, what piece of advice would you give him?
Yeah, I have to laugh because sometimes I was sitting exactly in this room while my partner was watching television, so I was wondering what she would say. I feel, I realized also that at some point you and I had a conversation halfway through, and it was after one specific video where you said, "That's it, Elias. Like, I can see that now you are getting real. You are not too much concerned, and it doesn't feel staged anymore. It just feels like you, right? Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
It was a really warm. I was present. I was really present in this one. I didn't care about anything else, and this is when you create that connection, because you cannot be anywhere else, right? When you are here. Whereas in the beginning, and I don't blame myself for that, because even that time before putting that record button in the beginning, like, it took me minutes. And that's why it was so important for me at this stage in my life to work together with someone like you, because you were that person who were inviting me forcefully out of this zone that I was familiar with. Because otherwise I might also just stretch myself to the limits that I know of, but you stretched me beyond my imagination. Yet I didn't die. Yet I'm still here, and this is just how it works in life. We are estimating things that can go wrong, and we underestimate actually our capabilities in, creating meaningful outcomes for ourselves, desired outcomes for ourselves. And if we are forcefully put in situations, then we got to sink or swim. We do figure it out, and I think, for the listeners, for you, for I, we all know situations where we thought, "Oh my God, I'm gonna drown and struggle," and we still managed. And those are the stories that we are referring to, and sometimes also that were helping us to create that resilience over time, which is so needed in this day and age, to build out that thick skin through these experiences. So I feel it was a great time to work with somebody like you to help me to get to that confidence level which was already inside of me. So all you did was also you were facilitating that process, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
that you were teaching me that way, but you were enabling me. And this is such
Yeah.
a big difference.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Also, I feel like there's a lot of alignment in the work that I do and the work that you do, because what you're doing also is helping people express themselves fully. You know, you are helping, you're also facilitating that people connect to who they are, that they express themselves through their work. It's just that it happens to be a different modality and a different level of expertise and a different thing, where maybe what I do has more to do with the marketing side and the business side and all of that and the creative expression. And for you, it's facilitation, it's ceremonies, it's your HR background, it's your psychology background. So, you know, put together, we are serving the same mission, just expressed in different words and in different ways. I think it's all about authenticity. It's all about people being real and being vulnerable and creating true connection. And what I love about what you did also, Elias, is that you created all of this through imperfection. There are so many people who are so afraid of the ego death, let's just say, that they cannot get themselves past just being seen less than the image that they like. It's more important for them to preserve the image with themselves, let alone with the outer world, than it is to actually grow. I don't know that you would have been able to create what you've created if you didn't allow yourself to take those imperfect steps. That doesn't change, though. That doesn't change the fact that when we are taking those steps, there's a voice inside our heads that says, this will never work. I've missed my chance, whatever else. So tell me about those voices.
Definitely. These voices were ever present. I mean, I think these voices, that critical voices that in my case also were telling me it is not good enough, that what I'm doing, also mobilized me to develop myself and, you know, like just constantly wanting to grow. And I also feel like in many ways it did benefit me, because I stayed curious, I stayed hungry, and I was always on the lookout for what is else. But on the downside, it also has this notion of chasing. So I'm constantly chasing after something that once I get there, I just realize that I'm still not arrived, because there is someone else who is faster than I am. And as an entrepreneur, I couldn't help myself but now look at how others in this space are doing. And we are then comparing ourselves again involuntarily, like with people who are by default faster and more accomplished and whatsoever. And until I really realized what it does with me, I didn't know that it also created some form of created suffering. And I operated from a mindset that I refer to as a scarcity mindset, because I realized, oh, wait a second, well, that person has clients. What about my clients? Not these days, I look at it and say, beautiful, that person has clients. There is enough pie for every one of us. Because I realized if I hold this energy in me, this energy of resentment, this energy, that person might not know it. That person has no idea. I am the only victim of that. And this kind of scarcity mindset and kind of like resentment energy will also transcend into everything I do and don't do. So I'm staying uninspired, and I will create less content, and ultimately I will just attract this. So once I shifted into being really, and that's when my son also came into my life, and I realized that with him, things became more simple to some degree, because I realized, wow, like he's healthy. We are healthy. We have things going for us. I just saw everything we do have, and were less bothered with things that beforehand were kind of messing with my mind. That there wasn't even time for that anymore. Now everything that matters is just like for us to be together, to spend time with him. And that's why I'm saying that he was one of my biggest teachers to this day, because he allowed me to embody and internalize that it is simple to live a happy life, but it's difficult to be simple. And I just became more simple in the way to say, you know what, I'm granting this to you. And whenever I sense sometimes that there is this bit of resentment, that's creating awareness in me. And then I'm trying to practice also positive regards towards other people and towards myself too. And this is just a constant practice in life. And I realize it benefits me so much because I feel I'm less forcing, chasing, and now things are coming to me more organically. So that's to that.
I absolutely love this on so many levels. First of all, you're doing the best job of selling parenting that I've heard in a while. No one has ever told me this. Having a kid simplified my life. I love it. This is really, 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 really powerful and courageous that you shared this thought, because very few people would talk so openly about the comparison with other entrepreneurs and other business people, which is something that I know not everybody, but most people experience at different levels, no matter how accomplished you are. And there's a story I love to tell that just drives this point home. I had a mentor, and this woman is a billionaire with a B, and she was talking about how she was comparing herself to other billionaires. And at first I was like, wait, what? And then it hit me. If you have like $1 or $2 billion, you're probably going to rub elbows with people who have $64 billion. Numbers I do not understand, really, literally cannot understand. But that means, of course, you're going to feel like this. It's exponentially bigger than a difference between somebody who's making, let's say, 500,000 a year versus somebody who's making $1 million or 5 million or 10 million. This is exponentially bigger. So of course you're going to feel like a small fish. And of course you're going to, it's going to trigger something. And I say, of course, as in like, it's not a given for everybody, but it doesn't matter how accomplished you are. There's always a possibility that you're going to compare yourself to somebody who seemingly has something better and feel this way. And when we feel this way, it's because at some level, we believe that the person has access to something that we don't have access to. That's it. And I love the reframe that you used when you look at that, like, no, this person is evidence that there is more available for me. So to me, this was a really, really powerful, beautiful reframe. Talk to me about how you do marketing, continuously promoting yourself. How do you do that in a way that is aligned, that feels good, and that is sustainable?
That is a really important question. Because I feel this work is, and speaking about the work that I'm promoting, is not on everybody's radar, let's say. So it's not that I'm selling a product that people are familiar with, like a toothbrush. I do speak to people's potential pain points and needs that they are maybe experiencing, but maybe not even verbalizing themselves, that they kind of feel on the surface. So it's delicate work, because it is also work that requires a high amount of, like going through your own shadows and courage. And it's not for everyone. That's what I'm saying too. It's also for me, it was difficult to promote it as it is a medicine that everybody should try out. Because at the end of the day, these ceremonies give access to tools and to tools and also to plant medicine, let's say, that is very particular. And for some, they might other modalities to look for. At the end, they're just bringing you to your own essence. For me, it is just like a guide that helps you to see yourself for what you are, and that's whole. So back to your question, I feel it has to be authentic, which means that I can only speak about my own journey, what it brought me. And I just feel like it has to be in an embodied way. I don't also want to speak from this teacher perspective, because everything to this point that led up, I'm grateful for, like every little hiccup and mistake on this journey. So it should also be for everyone else. I'm sharing stories on Instagram which kind of reflect what is going on inside of these ceremonies. So people have like a little bit of grasp, because it is so far out there. I'm telling you that you will be exploring like the inner depth of your mind, and it might be one of the most profound experiences that you had in your life. You have no measurement for that. You have no conceptualization of that, what actually means. If I say your brain will be lighting up like a Christmas tree, you just know what you know, maybe through a couple of experiences that you've had in the past. So it's about sharing through different eyes, through different people's experiences. I'm also speaking on LinkedIn, creating content on LinkedIn, but then I'm kind of pivoting more towards other branches of Elixir of Life, where I'm actually doing the same work, helping people to connect with themselves, but then through the topic of mental health. Because mental health, as you know and I know, is something we all have. But unfortunately, it's something we don't always talk about, especially at work, where we see that burnout rates and just in general, people with mental illnesses is increasing, is going through the roof. So how can we make this topic discussable at work? I'm sharing about it through my experience and my work as a mental health champion facilitator, which is basically the same as space holding and ceremonies, which for me is so beautiful that this now has a place in organizations where we are helping people to hold space for each other and to share that it is okay not to feel okay. And we don't have to fix each other, but it can mean so much for somebody already if they are met without judgment, and if they can just open up freely. It would do so much for them. So it's just about sharing stories without pulling, without having this neediness to it.
It's been one of your goals, actually, in the Clarity Forum, was to have those kinds of events. And you actually said ideally 2. And then I remember last time we were talking about it, like 2 of those bigger kind of deals. And then also all the other ceremonies that you're doing with individuals and group ceremonies and stuff. It is incredible that, and you also in the forum, you said 2 to 3 years. So, we forget those things, but so many of the things that you wrote down have actually happened. And it's just wild. Let me know if you don't have access to that forum. I will send it to you. But it is so amazing. Yeah. It is so amazing how when we are going through it, it just feels like we're taking these little actions that we're like, is this ever going to do something? And then eventually, when you look back after 1, 2, 3 years of consistently following that path, you're like, whoa, I underestimated it. I've had some things that I thought were going to happen that maybe didn't happen the way that I expected, but also I've come so far and I've done so much and I've done this. And the last thing I want to touch on also that I know is the reason why you make a difference in people's lives is the fact that you've gotten to a point where you can be yourself. And this is the crux for the listener. When you are able to express yourself, your true self, your work, kind of like what you said at the beginning of this conversation, that it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're expressing yourself. That's when you make the biggest impact. You actually reached out to me, Elias, because you saw a video I had posted on YouTube called, I think, Spirituality is Simple. And I remember your very first message to me on LinkedIn where you were like, I just felt that you were speaking from the heart. And so I decided to reach out to you.
Yes.
And I know that that's exactly how it works for you. And that's how it works for everybody else too. When you speak from the heart, when you are being from the heart, when you're present, you're truly present. Our work doesn't have to be perfect. Everybody who's watching this, the answers that you're looking for are already within you, just like for you, Elias. Like, those things reveal themselves to you, but really the real work is to move through fear, from fear to love, and to make choices that are loving, and to continue doing that over time until you start to see results. And that's when momentum builds up. You just continue to take the steps. And today, here we are. And you're only getting started. I really, really wish the world had more HR people like you. I know you're not like HR person is not your title or your thing, but when I think about HR and I think about even psychologists, HR, whatever, psychology, HR, all these different fields, and also psychedelic and plant medicine facilitators, the world really needs more people who are real.
Interesting that you said that HR thing in the end. I think it's an interesting one because yes, it is. No, I don't regard myself as an HR person, but in the end,
No.
HR is people work, and what I'm
Mhm.
doing is to distill that. Yes, we do need to look after the practical needs, after the KPIs and outcomes, because this is what businesses are essentially being built on. But at the same time, it's always also looking at the whole person. It's
Yeah.
looking at the personal needs within the organization
Yeah.
and seeing that we all have the same psychological needs, that we want to be seen and heard and valued for who we are.
Yeah.
And if we are able to just let the masks drop and work in a climate that really promotes safety, I mean, there is enough research also in this subject that this invitation of diverse perspective and psychological safe spaces is creating the most effective results in teams overall. This is what I'm about to say, that we want to allow the whole person to be seen in the organization, and leaders play a pivotal role in that, because if the
Yeah.
leader themselves are leading from their wounds and not leading from a place of
Spot on.
self-awareness and emotional intelligence, then this is what will ripple out. And we again
Mhm.
live in these times that I feel it's important to work with people from all layers. And this is why it doesn't matter if in ceremonial context, if in the meeting room, we are all bringing our emotions into a conversation. And if we address them, then we free up the way for everything that needs to get done. So
I can't think of a better way to wrap this beautiful, beautiful conversation. I don't think of you as an HR person, by the way. Never thought of you as an HR person. I'm just wishing. I'm just wishing. This level of consciousness and this level of beauty and care and wisdom found its way through human resources. Somebody like me might have never actually tried to go in business for herself, because like you, I also found that I chose marketing and I chose business for a reason. And then when I did the practice of being in those kinds of environments, I found that I didn't know how to be myself anymore. I didn't know how to bring myself to those spaces anymore. And I started to feel like I had lost myself. And the main reason why I started doing what I'm doing is just like you, to help people bring their full selves and their real selves and really go back to themselves. So I love everything that you do and I love your journey, man. This is really awesome. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared. The last question is, where can people find more about you and connect with you?
yes, yeah. So if you do feel resonated with what this conversation, you can look me up on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram under Elixir of Life. And we are currently rebuilding my landing page, my web page. So have to be stay tuned for that.
I'll put the links wherever you guys are watching this, so you'll be able to find them in the comments and in the description if this is on YouTube. Elias, again, thank you so much for your time today, and I
Of
will speak to you
course.
soon. Take care.
Yes, we will take soon.
All
Bye.
right.
You know
How do
what's
you feel?
funny too?
What?
So just wanted to share something with regards to the clarity form.
Yeah.
Yesterday, while cleaning up the cupboards, I found my vision board for this year, which Debbie and I created last year in December. And on that vision board, I wrote down for myself that in Q4, we are moving abroad. And believe me, like that idea was really far away back then. Look at us now, like
Oh,
Q4 is like literally starting and we're moving, at least like so.
this
When
is
I saw it, I
amazing.
was like, wow.
Okay, well, check this out, because on the clarity form, another one of your 2 to 3 year, or hold on, 12 month, no wait, 12 or 2 to 3 years, no, 2 to 5 years out. One of the points was you and your partner and your children would spend less time in the Netherlands, travel and work in different parts of the world. For example, co-living with people in a Mediterranean country in Europe.
No fucking
In
way.
Dutch winter time. In Dutch winter time. From there, also hosting retreats to sustain income. Yay! I'm gonna send you the form, man. This is so awesome.
It's more colorful as we grow older. I'm always saying, like, I enjoy growing older, actually. My life is becoming more of an adventure when I turned older, because I just don't give a
Don't give it a hoot. You know what? This is exactly the spirit. When people say, like, you know, you get older, and then I'm like, no, 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 no. You can still bring your inner child, but now you are the perfect adult to guide this child to have as much fun as it wants. I would love to include this part about you making this stuff a reality, writing it down and making it real. Is that okay? Like this
Sure.
this part? Yes. Just your reaction and your dance. I just think it's awesome. All right. Well, listen, this has been amazing. I've had a blast, and I'm really, really grateful that we got to talk. I don't want to hold you. You go finish packing what you need to pack and doing what you need to do.
Of
Have
course.
a beautiful, beautiful trip. Get settled well over there. And then when you have a chance, please do let me know how things are going. Thanks a lot. Take care, Elias.
Nice.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.